shattered, rebuilt piece by piece. A testament of love that will never cease. High priestess rising, healing worlds unseen, turning pain into power, from shadows to gleam. Every scar tells a story, humanity her cause, an echo of truth that makes the whole world pause. For battles unspoken, walked razor-thin lines. Her soul was the altar where time intertwines. Karma unraveled through rivers of tears. She carried the burden through infinite years. When the storm broke, she stood like a flame, her light an eruption. No life was the same. She spoke of survival, of death's fleeting kiss, a guardian of humanity wrapped in bliss. High priestess rising, healing worlds unseen, turning pain into power, from shadows to gleam. Every scar tells a story, humanity her cause, an echo of truth that makes the whole world pause.
Greetings, beloved multiversal soul familia. Welcome back. As promised in this session, gear up for this premiere because it's gonna be a goodie. In this session, which we will be able to, dependent upon the turnout for viewers, we can interact with each other in the chat while listening in to me calling myself out with the cards. Why not? So here we go. Before we go too far with this message, it has been placed on my heart to say a command, invocation, prayer, whatever you would like to refer to it as, before we get started. Alright, we already have the tallow burning, and as mentioned in the last video, which is still currently uploading, we did also burn some frankincense to clear everything out, reset, and protect, and increase our faith. So here we go. O infinite creator, source of all that is, was, and will ever be, we stand in your divine authority, commanding in alignment with your perfect divine will. By the power of divine law, we now open our lives to abundant security, stability, and protection. No weapons formed against us shall prosper. Every curse, every evil eye, every ill wish, every case, cause, concern, and conflict dissolves into nothingness by the radiance of the divine light. We command true prosperity to flow into our lives, prosperity that nourishes our souls, sustains our bodies, and blesses all who walk with us. Wealth and resources are now aligned to our highest purpose. I command good fortune to follow us in all things, doors of opportunity opening before us effortlessly, and every step we take is guided by divine favor. We call forth true love, divinely ordained, harmonious, and eternal. Our hearts and souls are aligned to receive and give love in its purest, most sacred form. Our paths be illuminated, our spirits fortified, and our lives a testament to the boundless grace of our Creator. So it is, so it is, so it is, and so it shall be. All right, here we go. Into the Concrete Shamanism Shadow Work deck first. And at first, we're just going to go with whatever intuitively is placed on my heart. And then, because I'm studying the guidebook as well, we will do a little skimming around in there, and whatever finds my eye first is what will be shared. The goal is to remain mostly intuitive, but also bringing in a bit of formal messages custom to the deck as well from time to time. So here we go, beloveds. We are over 4 minutes in. Yes, let's go. 414 on the timer. Time to tap in. Areas that Sissy may need to rediscover and reflect on at this time. It's one full pass. Pretty indicative that not a whole lot of actual shadow work is necessary on my end. 444 on the timer to confirm as I said that. But we're still going to have a little bit of fun here. And whatever comes out, comes out. And that is another full pass. We actually do have some energy on the table. Let's take a look, shall we? Okay, prohibitive and fair. So I'm going to show this to you how I would be looking at it. Prohibitive first and fair second. And we have a master number on the table, beloveds. Now is a good time to reduce the volume if you're especially using a headset, earbuds, or surround. Although I highly doubt you're listening to this on surround sound, beloveds. Either way, it all works out. Just know I'm about to ring the bell. In the count to 3. 1. Look at that energy. 2. 3. Okay, very good. Short and sweet. Prohibitive and fair. So, right off the bat, I'm getting where could I have been prohibiting fairness in my own life, my own situations? But fairness that is for the greater good all the way around. Well, to answer that in short, I can see where there have been times in my life where I was the people pleaser, but not always out of seeking some kind of favor or anything like that. More out of avoiding negative confrontations, or even like the fulfillment of my basic needs not being met during situations where I may have been vulnerable, or I was vulnerable in those situations where like the other parties knew that I was not really in the position during that time to be more self-reliant and self-sufficient, self-assuring, but not in a condescending, cocky, or conceited type of way, where I would just let the other basically win even when they were in the wrong, mostly out of fear of not just any kind of negative repercussions, but severe negative repercussions. Anywheres from getting punched out to getting kicked out. Like, even in my own home, all throughout my life, I have dealt with encounters like that. And because I was gaslighted and subconsciously programmed into believing that I wasn't doing enough, I wasn't being enough, I simply wasn't enough during that time, I was unconsciously handing my control over to the other parties to some degree. And once you hand over your authority over oneself and our soul and our spirit, I didn't sell my soul, but I was handing over my spiritual authority to others during these times. And once you do that with a narcissist, there's a lot of hurdles and obstacles and challenges to call it back. So I have been in a position of prohibiting my own balance and fairness in my own life out of fear. Fear of substantial loss, primarily. But it still happened. I lost everything I ever knew, loved, and cared about during these times in my lives. Apparently I was meant to say lives, but what I meant to say as well, what I intended to say is multiple times in this life, because I didn't understand the authority and the power that I had within myself until much later. And by then it was too late. It was like the damage was already done. And for the last 10 years, I've been working towards self-development, but also forgiving myself. And in order to prohibit fairness in my life, I had to forgive myself for not knowing any better at the time, and for, only being able to react and respond to these situations based on what I knew during that time, and now I know better. Let's take a look at prohibitive, number 11, which is a tyrant archetype. I believe, anyway. Let's look a little further. Yes, prohibitive is a tyrant archetype. And before I go into the card itself, I'm going to read a bit about the tyrant archetype from the book. The archetype of the tyrant symbolizes control, dominance, and abuse of power. When associated with the four aspects, critical, punisher, prohibitive, and smothering, the tyrant archetype provides a platform to investigate our tendencies to be controlling or domineering either towards ourselves or others. The tyrant archetype, with its commanding presence, serves as a reflection of authority, control, and power dynamics within the psyche. Engaging with both the upright and shadow aspects of this archetype offers insights into one's relationship with power and control, facilitating growth through self-awareness and transformation. And beloveds, already working through that self-awareness stage. I have been steadily working on transmuting it. But because there have been so many incidences reoccurring all throughout different lives and different aspects of this life, it's a lot of work. And just when I think I'm done and I'm healed and it's all over with, boom, something else outside of um, my direct experience, something indirect occurs. And it acts as a reminder of, gee, and it brings me right back to that moment. And here I am, going deeper for deeper healing and integrating it. Even more so, working with these aspects of the tyrant archetype in shadow work can be a powerful tool for understanding and changing potentially harmful patterns of behavior. Well, by the people that I chose to accompany with, I didn't know it necessarily every single time at the time, but was certainly putting myself in danger. And I don't know where my friends got the original quote from, but they mention it oftentimes when we get together for our morning show, well, their morning show, our morning meetings. It comes up. So the saying goes, the quote is, I was brainstorming, okay, how does this quote go? Not verbatim, but in some context, as stated, in order to avoid what's down dark alleys, we just choose not to go down those dark alleys. Working on these aspects, yes, changes those potentialities. Offering a meaning of reconciling with our inner tyrant, transforming it from a repressor to a protector, and from a harsh critic to a wise guide. As with all shadow work, this is a continuous journey towards self-improvement, self-awareness, fostering greater understanding and acceptance of oneself. And with this prohibitive tyrant, the barriers may seem confining, but can also lead us to find another path. And indeed, I have found another path. Where it goes, nobody knows. Only our Creator knows the answer to that. Examining our tendencies to restrict, control, or prohibit. This might mean setting overly strict boundaries or denying ourselves or others the freedom to explore and express. And see, that's where I was speaking on, denying that authority over myself and my life. And because I was feeling as though I wasn't doing it enough. I wasn't contributing enough to even deserve to be able to call the shots, even on myself and my own life. And that freedom of expression, mostly out of fear. I was afraid to speak up. And when I did, it was a blow up. And I still ended up getting in harm's way, regardless. So, setting boundaries, limits, and preventing harm or chaos by restricting certain actions. And the inquiry is, when have I unduly restricted myself or others? And I just shared about that. So we're going to move along to the fair card. And I do believe this is a archangel, angel archetype, number 7, and it is. Before I get started on the card, I'm going to read a bit about the angel archetype. Notice the angel on his headband. That was somewhat of a subtle hint. And this beautiful number 7 coming out again like it did in the last video. Shadow work is a form of psychological introspection and exploration that delves into the unconscious aspects of the self. Okay, I'm feeling as though we can skip past this part. The archetype of the angel in this context represents divine guidance, purity, innocence, and spiritual communication. Here, the angel archetype, coupled with the 4 facets, capable, firm, fair, and protective, provides a mirror to investigate how we manifest or suppress these attributes in our daily lives, helping us uncover our personal strengths and weaknesses. This insight into our own behavior can enable us to cultivate a more balanced, authentic life. This is not a one-time journey, but a lifelong process of self-discovery, self-improvement, and ultimately self-love, offering a journey into higher realms of one's moral and spiritual compass. It has its shadow side, reminding users of the balance and growth inherent in acknowledging and integrating both facets of their inner selves. Okay, now let's take a look at the card itself. Being fair, balancing the scales of the universe, they ensure justice for all. Drawing the Fair Angel card prompts a review of our sense of justice, equality, and fairness, asking us to scrutinize our prejudice, biases, and unfair treatment we might be extending towards ourselves or others. It's a call to practice objectivity and equality in our judgment and interactions. And so, by reading from the guidebook, I'm simply confirming what I already said, based on what was placed on my heart. Why am I turning this? This is my reading. See, this is supposed to be like a calling myself out for fun and for enrichment type of video, and I'm trying to turn the reading on you instead of me. In the upright, I am exemplifying justice, balance, and treating everyone with equal kindness and respect, and championing fairness and equity for all. And during these times, I wasn't doing that. And we're actually going to go into Oracle of Visions for a bit more clarity on this message with these cards combined, which also creates the angel number 117. Clarifying where I was prohibiting fairness for myself from Oracle of Visions. Where was I cutting off my own fairness? Well, with the angel number 117, I was cutting off my own spiritual growth, enlightenment, and creating delays in my own awakening. Positive changes and new beginnings, blocking those things, and indicating that I should have been paying attention to my own thoughts as they were guiding me towards understanding the messages from the universe. So even when I was getting warning signals, I was dismissing them. Give me just a moment, beloveds, because it just hit the floor, which means it's coming to my door. Oh, okay. Whoops. And what's coming to my door is another master number, number 33. A reflection. Well, interestingly enough, That's exactly what I'm doing right now, is reflecting. Before we go into the guidebook, and a little bit more of intuitive what's being placed on my heart about this, we're going to ring the bell. 1. For the master number 33. 2. 3. All right. Card number 33 coming in to clarify when I was prohibiting fairness in my own life. Despite the desire for results, some occasions or decisions simply should not be rushed. And I can see where this was true, because I couldn't just rush to figure out an escape plan for these situations, or rush to stand up for myself in such a bold manner. It was like I needed more time to determine and reflect on, like, what's true, what isn't true, what requires more focus in terms of, and discipline in terms of development and growth, or what needs to just be completely scrapped in terms of people, places, things, and situations, in order to create space for those positive changes and new beginnings. Being wary of being too indulgent and devoting too much time waiting for some imagined perfect moment as well. Or in my case, expecting people to mature more and change in terms of improvement as we went along. Like expecting what I would expect out of myself, out of others, and that never works. Never works. Worthy opportunities may be lost if they are overlooked in anticipation of some intangible better option to arrive. Well, I didn't wait for some worthy opportunity to arrive. I got the heck out of Dodge and healed in motion. I didn't have a choice. I did not have a choice, because the influences, on top of how I'd already felt about myself during these times, like that, like I deserved everything that was coming my way, like it was by allowing others to do what they did, it was taking on this, like, alter ego of self-deprecation, punishment. And as far as I'm concerned, based on what, through prayer and meditation, what has already been placed on my heart for quite some time now, I have already done everything necessary that I'm supposed to do to clear out that karmic debt. Anyone else who was ever involved in my life and where they're at with all of that is none of my business. And we have moved on since. Do certain memories and things of that nature still crop up from time to time where I have to go a little bit deeper? Absolutely. But do I need to go find all these other people, places, and things and situations all over again to hash it out? Oh, that's a no bueno. That's a no bueno. It's a no. It's a solid, hard no. Every time I say it. Every time. Every stinking time. Now let's bring in another card from Oracle of Visions for a bit more clarity, a little bit more detail in terms of where fairness and equity is prohibited. By leaving the situations is where I feel as though I created fairness and equity for others, because I was no longer there to be the example, or to be the scapegoat, or to be the doormat, or to be the punching bag. So, by walking away after being dumped and displaced while my own mother was in NICU, which is the neurological intensive care unit of a hospital. See, I'm getting a little flustered just sharing about it. I got dumped. And I was the only one who stepped up to the plate to be there for my mother after she had several cerebral aneurysms rupture. I lost everything I knew and loved. My belongings, my home, my family. I separated myself instead of continuing to fight as a form of punishment towards myself. That was how I took accountability. No one else ever took accountability for their ends of these situations. And that's not my problem. That's not my problem. And I still do not have close bonds, or even have I reconnected with some of these people, places, things, and situations. Why? Because we're not going backwards, beloveds. We're not going backwards. At the bottom of the deck, we have card number 42. But before we go into the next card, I'm feeling guided to read a little bit more on this 117 number that was created by the shadow work cards. Give me just one moment as we go into, thank you so very much, and shout out to sunsigns.org for this reference. In terms of love, I deserved all the love in the world and should have never doubted myself, taking all the love I could receive while giving the same to people who genuinely care for me. Mistakes are things we cannot avoid as human beings, but there is always room for making things right. And I did. I'm still recovering from these losses, beloveds, these sacrifices, and what was just stripped from me. And I just chalked it up as, okay, this is our divine creator orchestrating this, because this is how they decide on serving karma. And anytime another human being takes another person's karma into their own hands, they will only be cultivating more suffering in their own lives. Hand it over. to the divine was and still is the message. I should have been able to trust my spouse. Well, I didn't. I did love them unconditionally up until the trust was broken. And then I started to give up on love altogether, prohibiting that fairness and equity even in terms of love. I had difficulties remaining positive even while I was still in these situations, but also being a go-getter. And I had a hard time focusing on goals, always distracted from external forces and sources. But look, some of these people straight up made sure that it was orchestrated in that manner. All of them rallying around each other and creating different timeline distractions and confusion and misalignments, because they knew that I did not understood. They knew that I did not understand how much I had handed over authority of my own body, being, and life. A need to recognize that unity between my thoughts and who I am. I handed over that divine authority and leadership, my sovereignty. I handed it over to others because I didn't believe that I was worthy of it. Getting in the way of achievements, innovation, and even the ability to be inspired by others because that trust was broken. My heart started to close. That heart meridian out of balance until I went to work. And I'm not talking about excessive toil and labor externally, because in all actuality, the inner toil and labor that I've had to deal with has actually gotten in the way of my ability to put myself out there in the marketplace and in the workforce in a matrixy level. It started out as stubbornness, but it turned into the realization that the matrixy way of living is not for me. It's a no bueno. Straight up no bueno. I had to relearn how to trust myself. There was a time when I would go to a restaurant with others and I couldn't even decide what to eat off of the menu. I would look at them and just be like, I'll just get what you're getting, or you order for me, or something along that lines. Like, it was that much of a downward spiral for me, beloveds. I lost consciousness of the connection that I had with my angelic selves, ancestor selves, and other ally selves. But I never lost that connection with our Creator. And that is how I have been able to steadily continue to do the work, heal when necessary, reflect when necessary, but also just bless and release it all together. You know how hard it is to go completely no contact and genuinely, sincerely bless and release people, places, things, and situations? Yet we're over here making the impossible possible, beloveds. Let's take a look at number 42 on the table here. Number 42. Interestingly enough, we were just speaking on ambitions and goals and how I gave up on all of it. And here we have it. If we want to make our dreams come true, the first thing we have to do is wake up. And I was delaying progress in my own awakening by handing over that authority to others, beloveds. Ah, a young performer lays on the floor in an almost fetal position, possibly exhausted or at the point of giving up. Yeah. I've even felt that in the last 10 years. Like, what is this even about? What is this even for? And when can I get the hell off of this godforsaken planet? Despite the constant effort and repetition she had put into her endeavors so far, she is once again questioning herself. Okay, Spirit, call me out, why don't you? Go on ahead and call me out on my intermittent experiences with self-doubt. Can she ever be good enough? Will she ever make it? Despair, doubt, and frustration clouding her progress. Yep, indeed, that is exactly what happened. 4004 on the timer. Let's take a look at now this angel number. Reminding me to maintain balance and order in my life as I work towards goals, which would be reinforcing the stability and foundations, as well as encouraging to continue on my personal development and inner wisdom path. Okay, yep, that's it. That's all I'm supposed to share in terms of that number. If you want to make your dreams come true, the first thing you must do is wake up. It's easy enough to dream and establish goals. The question now is whether that dream is realistically achievable. Well, what I had in mind in the past, back there, where we're not at anymore. I had a lot of difficulty. And establishing realistic goals as well. Now I'm not so focused on the goal setting and high expectations. I mean, we don't want to settle for the low, but also not gonna no, we're not getting distracted in that oasis of torment over relationships and other aspects of our lives and goals affiliated that could never be reached. Woo! Okay, I'm feeling guided now to go back into the shadow work deck to see what else I may need to call myself out over. We shall see. Three shuffles. Whoa. and a split. Okay, so with this split, we're not just going to go off of the one card in the split. We're also going to go with what's going on in my environment from the bottom of the deck. So we have fun-loving and firm at the same time. Well, that sounds like a healthy balance, I think. Moving along before I start doubting even what I just said, because we're not doing that. We're over here making the impossible possible. And divinely protected in doing so. And right off the bat, it's like Source is telling me that I need to insist on cultivating more fun-loving environments for myself, because nobody else is going to do that for me. And be firm about it. Be firm about being that beacon, being that co-creator with the divine of that fun-loving environment and experiences. Because remember, I said this one's coming from the environment. Something that I need to stand firm on. And it was just placed on my heart intuitively just now to choose joy and fun. The highest states of being. Joy and fun. The highest states of being. Thank you, Spirit. We are also forming another angel number between the number 17 and 6. We have 176. Let's take a look. I'm also going to mark the pages for these cards with the fun-loving muse and the firm angel now. So we have the fair angel and the firm angel on the table. Let's take a look at this number. More encouragement and support from the universe is coming in for me at this time, according to this number. Okay, let's see what sunsigns.org once again has to say about the significance. Being more reliable for myself is what I see, first and foremost. I am a dependable person. I am becoming more organized. And it is becoming much harder for me to start going backwards a little bit in terms of those low level spirits making their way in, like that spirit of self-doubt. Putting myself down, and then as a result, after stuffing it down for a while, what happens? We explode, and then we end up putting others down in the process. And this number is saying that those days are over. We cannot be moved. We cannot be swayed. We cannot be put down. Not in any more steps of the way. And whenever I start to feel triggered, I will make it a point to call back my energy, because my discernment in terms of that now is far more reliable and trustworthy. And with this number, it says right here, the spiritual meaning is being more reliable, and that is the key to success. Building my reliability and trustworthiness towards myself even more will also create more steady relationships with others, and continuing to reinforce that reliance on myself, especially when it comes to co-creating a more fun-loving environment. for myself and others, and honoring my commitment to that with that number 176. Also, I'm being guided at this time to maintain good relationships with the foregone beings to access divine wisdom and reliability, which is confirmation as to what I was just saying a little bit ago about continuing to build on that connection with angels, ancestors, and other allies from within. Continuing to be consistent in my character and habits, as well as assuring that my actions match my words, or at least complement them a bit. It's like the divine feminine, making that creative, clear, conscious choice, and then the divine masculine aspects of myself committing to the integrity of conscious action, allowing for even more clarity in terms of my intentions and how to do things. And interestingly enough, I spoke on being a past doormat and people pleaser, beloveds, and this number 176 is yet a reminder not to aim at pleasing others, but to ensure that I always do the right things all the way around, appreciating that I'm not perfect, and continuing to show myself and others that I do care, and to continue to do my best as I constantly improve, moving onward. Yes. And my guardian birth angel is telling me at this time that I am a dependable person to my family members and colleagues. Yes. I'm being guided at this time to be that progressive person, especially in my vocation as much as in my home, bringing new ideas, bringing forth what I have in mind, and it will help with my organization to step further forward and away from competitors, which would put me even more so in the favor of my superior's good books, my one and only superior, beloveds. Yeah, one and only. So, throughout this development, it has started to make me more to be that person to go to when new things need to be introduced. And seeking out my input on projects as I have become a more dependable person. And that's exactly what I needed and what my loved ones needed all along, was to continue to work on that self-confidence. And when I start to feel a bit on the low end, I'm learning how to be self-reliant in terms of not depending on others for that constant reassurance after reassurance after reassurance. No, I'm already seeing the results of choosing joy and choosing to be self-directed and self-directed in my course directing. A stronger willed character. And as a result, good fortune has been falling into alignment. in my life. Yes. But there's a lot of masculine energy with the number 176, and emphasizing on how actions speak louder than words, which confirms what I was just saying about not just having the capacity to have a creative heart brain, and be open and optimistic and ever flowing with creativity, but to also take committing to that conscious action. There it is. Thank you. Yes, to continue committing to these ideas and creative expression. Conscious action, conscious action, conscious action. In conclusion, keeping me more focused, organized, and inspired, signifying that I needed to enhance that trustworthiness and reliability. And now others are encouraged to count on me that much more. Because why? Because I emanate that I can count on myself. And people can tell when your confidence is down. And if your confidence is down, but you're talking a big game and it's obvious, that's going to make you appear to be less trustworthy and less reliable. So, that's the duality of the message for myself as I sit here and call myself out in front of everyone. Okay, we're taking a look now at fun-loving. The fun-loving muse. And I'm feeling guided to not really touch too heavily on the muse archetype at this time, because the nitty-gritty details of the muse will be affiliated with the description of this card. As their laughter is the melody to which the universe dances. And you know what, beloveds? There are some things that I can absolutely laugh about now that I had to overcome. But there are other things that are no laughing matter. Not even now. And that's where I stand firm in my discernment to let go and let God. Yes. Because this card encourages me to reflect on my ability to experience joy and fun. Which also means that we're drawing this message to a close with these cards, because it's already coming full circle. And no, that wasn't planned and I didn't expect it. But here we are. Because otherwise the message will just start repeating itself. Where had I lost touch with my childlike sense of play and joy in life? Well, right around the time that I was 3 + 1, because I wasn't 4 what was happening. All thanks to Theodore and Eric Cross. Within a 24-hour time period. When I nearly transitioned and had a very short life on this planet in this particular lifetime. But thanks to Kalamazoo, was it Kalamazoo or Grand Rapids that I was life flighted to? I don't remember now. I was just a little kid, all alone. I didn't even have my parents by my side when this happened, because they entrusted me in the care of another. But that's over now. The community talisman is healing and has been. Now, more than ever, even more openly. Now, I can sincerely embrace that childlike sense of play and joy in my life again. Because I'm choosing it with integrity and sincerity, embracing the fun and the joy. These, both existing and deceased mortals, no longer have access to steal my fun and joy. Their heyday is all part of the past, and it can stay right where it's at. Meanwhile, I'm over here embracing the joys of life, seeking out even more pleasures, and celebrating the playful side of existence more and more and more. I know you guys see it, and I know you will see more of it, because I have embodied it. Because I embodied it. And so it is. And embracing the joys of life when it's in the upright, seeking out pleasure and celebrating playful sides of existence with the inquiry, how do I express joy and playfulness in my life? Well, I apply it everywhere now. I do. I apply it everywhere now. Immediately within my inner temple, immediately within my dwelling, immediately within the proximity of my orbit, and furthermore, with others, be it online or any otherwise. And we're going to hold that frequency, beloveds. With my head held high. That's right. Chin up, shoulders back, 10 toes down. Firmly planted, but with my head in the clouds. That bridge between the mundane and the mystical. Beloveds, I will continue to contribute to the positive feedback loop, raising the energy, frequency, and vibration of myself as well as others and this planet with a servant-driven heart, and choosing to stand firm in rolling in more of that fun-loving, joyful activity, interaction, as well as more meaningful content with more sustenance that contributes to a more meaningful life for everyone all the way around, fostering that fairness and equity in every way, shape, and form. Woo! There it is. That is the message. Now, some of you may have had similar experiences, and I didn't even go into any great detail, because unlike how I was before, when I was still very broken down and damaged and defeated, like a pulp, the caterpillar going into the cocoon, that pulp. I struggled with that. But now we're going from struggling and surviving to sustaining and striving and a success of sustenance for everyone involved without putting my own needs on the back burner. Fairness and equity all the way around, including myself, without taking me out of the equation anymore. And because I am a very fair and fun-loving person, I won't call them out online by name. But I will share from time to time little tidbits, because I just know, as it's been placed on my heart in the last couple of minutes, that some of you tuning in will actually be able to relate even to the little bit that I shared today, as I called myself out with the shadow work cards, clarifying with Oracle of Vision. And that is the conclusion for this session. Certainly hope that you enjoyed, with much gratitude and appreciation. Brightest of blessings.